Yeah, thank you very much. I think firstly, before I get into my presentation, it would be remiss of me to not mention, as Old Mutual, as shareholder in Masted, how particularly exciting it is for us and a privilege for us to share the day with you. It's great to see a full audience. And it's also great to see the content so far and the incredible value that Masted is adding to your practice. It's also great to see some familiar faces, some not so familiar. And before I get into the detail of my presentation, I would just like to give credit to Tiaan Herselman from Old Mutual Wealth, on whose behalf I'm doing this presentation today. I think it's maybe a good thing. Those of you who have seen Tiaan in action, we would have had to build a little stand for him to reach this thing. And on top of that, he walks around a lot, so he would have run out of sound quite a bit during the presentation. So, investment solutions. Does one size fit all, yes or no? We believe the answer is no, and the devil lies in the details. So, the clicker does not work. So, what is the problem that we generally try to solve when it comes to investments? There was a paper published by the Global Retail Investor Outlook, which is done by the World Economic Forum in 2024. And this clearly shows that one of the big fears that clients across the world have is that they will run out of their savings. They are going to outlive their savings. And South Africa, in particular, is pretty high on that list. In fact, if you look at the developing economies, we are top of the list. And across the globe, in both developed and developing economies, we are only beaten to the post by Singapore. So I guess we've done a fantastic job at scaring clients that they might outlive their capital. But have we done that job to actually put those fears to rest by doing something about it, and have the clients done that? More recently, we've seen a publication in Business Tech by Sanlam, more particularly their corporate section or their corporate business, looking at 300,000 umbrella fund members, where they've seen that the industry benchmark is that you should be replacing about 75% of your final salary in retirement. And yet they see that the reality is only about 25% is being replaced. So in simple terms, you earn 40,000 in your final year. The benchmark is to replace 30,000, but in reality, only 10,000 is being replaced. So it's of a particular concern to us. Now, any problem has a solution, and we believe in any financial plan, any plan has basically 4 numbers, and those numbers are made up of the following. First of all, your available assets. So these would be your investments, your property, anything that you could sell to generate capital, right? So that's the first number. The second number is your lifestyle. So what is the lifestyle that you would like to retain going through into retirement, and for how long would you like to do that? The third number is the required return. And then the fourth number, as I've mentioned, is the lifespan. So for how long do you want to maintain this particular lifestyle? And these numbers are quite simple. If you know 3 of the 4, you should be able to calculate the 4th. So for example, I have 3 million Rand and I want to draw down 30,000 Rand a month, and my investment return is inflation plus 4 to 5%. So that's about 9.5% per annum. How long will my money last? Probably not very long in retirement. So you can make those calculations as you go. Now, the sad thing we see is the first number, and we refer to these numbers actually as buttons that you can push in a financial plan. Now, the sad thing we see is that the first number everyone goes to is the returns number. How can I look at a higher return to help me get that longevity in retirement? Whereas we believe the most important number, and the first one we should be looking at, is actually number one, the available assets, and not necessarily how big those assets are, because these plans are the same regardless if you have 10 million to invest or 100 million. So the principles remain the same. And when we talk about the investable assets, we think about the vehicle in which these assets are invested. And when I mention vehicle, I think of retirement annuity, I think of TFSA, I think about unit trust or linked investments, I think about endowments. So those are the type of vehicles that we will be looking at. But where did all this analysis that we've been doing begin? So in 2018, Dr. Willows from UCT published an article, and what they did a comparison between non-Reg 28 investments versus Reg 28 investments. And they said, well, you know, how much more should a non-Reg 28 investment outperform a Reg 28 investment to achieve the same outcome given the tax incentives provided to a Reg 28 investment? And the outcome of this research was actually quite interesting, because in some cases it showed that the non-Reg 28 investment could actually underperform by 85 basis points per year to achieve the same outcome, whereas in other cases, other vehicles, it was as much as a 1% outperformance that was required. And this was quite interesting. The other thing that came out of this paper is that, especially for the lower income earners, over-investing into retirement annuities proved to be a little bit problematic, because it raised their disposable incomes in retirement, which raised the tax bracket, which meant that by actually doing what the regulator intended us to do, they ended up paying more tax than they really should have been doing in retirement. So we did a wider investigation, and what we did, we built a comprehensive tool that we used to analyze this problem. And to do this, we had to make some assumptions, and I'm going to list them for you. We looked at clients aged 30, 40, and 50, and you'll see with the clients aged 40, I will digress a little bit. We looked at different monthly incomes starting at 10,000 Rand a month, all the way up to 500,000 Rand a month. So we covered the spectrum. We looked at clients who do have a pension fund at work and who don't. And for today's purposes, due to time constraints, I'll only look at those who don't have a pension fund at work. We assume a retirement age of 65. We assume that if you earn a net 100,000 Rand before retirement, you wish to retain about 60,000 gross after retirement. We assume full 100% of your retirement funds will be going into a living annuity, inflation plus 4 to 5%, so 9.5% return. Inflation is assumed at 5%, so that inflation also goes into the contributions every year. Planner fees at 1.5 or 1.15% and admin at 0.35%. We considered TFSA annual and lifetime limits. We considered the 350,000 maximum limit for retirement contributions. So if you contribute, let's say 500,000, that additional 150,000 would be allocated to draw a tax-free income in retirement as per Section 10C. And for discretionary investments, we reduce the return every year to account for capital gains tax and interest tax. Now, that's quite aggressive. And we know that normally when you access the money only in retirement do you trigger that capital gains tax. But for this exercise, we actually went and applied it on an annual basis. Right. So we considered two scenarios. Like I said, no work, pension fund and a pension fund. And for this one, we look only at the one in a pension fund. And again, some assumptions. We said 20% of your annual income, of your gross income, you invest. And we're going to look at the following vehicles. You either contribute in a retirement annuity, and whatever you get back from SARS, you spend on TVs or whatever. So you don't reinvest that. The second one, you do contribute to an RA, and you reinvest in a TFSA, again, taking the limits into account, and after that into unit trust, an endowment, or a combination of TFSA, again, taking the limits into account, and after that, a unit trust. Retirement age and what you want to retain remains the same. So what did we see? Or what is the one question we wanted to answer? Is which investment option allows you to sustain your required after-tax income the longest? And it was quite interesting. Here we have the clients who are age 30. You'll see on the vertical axis, that's the age all the way up to 110. And the horizontal axis at the bottom, you'll see is income all the way from 10,000 a month to $500,000 a month. And then you'll see the green bar is the retirement annuity, not reinvesting what you get back from SARS. The yellow is the endowment. Retirement annuity and reinvesting into TFSA and unit trust is blue. And then the purple TFSA and then unit trust only. And you'll see there's a clear winner with the younger clients who actually get that return from SARS based on the RA contribution and then reinvesting that. You do see with the high earners on the far right-hand spectrum that the endowment comes through quite strongly as a more suitable vehicle. If I look at the client age 40, the picture changes a little bit. And here you see that depending on the income, different options become more attractive. But we were concerned, and if you look at this picture, the green bar seems to be underperforming quite a bit versus the rest. And we thought to ourselves, well, what if we remove the 17.5% limit on retirement funds? What would that income, or what would the impact be for modeling purposes? And you can clearly see the green one coming through a little bit stronger when we do that. But I mean, we can't really do that in real life, right? So it was only for the modeling purposes. So if I now move along to the age 50 clients, you'll see that the endowment and TFSA followed by unit trust becomes the most attractive option, simply because there's not that much time left to retirement. So you can clearly see the combination of age and income does determine which retirement vehicle becomes more attractive. So key takeouts. For younger clients, the RA maximum pension scenario is probably very beneficial. For older clients, most cases, investing into liquid capital is more beneficial. For clients with higher incomes, you're looking at the endowment structure again. The 17.5% limit does have significant impact because it limits how you can access your capital in retirement. The Wealth Integrated tool, which we have at Old Mutual Wealth, is equipped to help you identify this, so which vehicle is more suited for which client. And there is no one clear solution that fits everyone. So in closing, how do you know which is best for your clients? I think 3 calls to action. The first one, if you would be interested to look at the integrated wealth planning tool, speak to your BC or speak to our colleagues outside at the wealth table, and we can arrange a demonstration. Secondly, if you want to go into more detail on what I presented today, for argument's sake, where there is a pension fund involved as well, again, speak to your BC so that we can arrange for a presentation at, for argument's sake, your branch for you, maybe in your practice as well. And if you have any questions out of this, please speak to your BC so that we can have those questions answered. Thank you very much.